to NerdNest Podcast. This is our third podcast. I am Sarah Montgomery, NerdNest social media manager. So if you want to check the link in this video, you can see our social media, our blog, and mynerdnest.com. So feel free to check those out and like and subscribe to the video if you want to like and subscribe. This week, my guests are...
I'm Ayana and Laura.
And
I'm still Laura.
Yes, there we go. I just want to make sure, you don't know, we could have new people showing up, so I want to make sure they know who you are.
Like you have more friends.
Oh.
Well, they're both unfortunately my friends. And without consulting each other or me, both showed up wearing Batman shirts.
Yeah.
Not the only thing that's matching.
Yeah. Wait.
If you have the, would you like to show them your matching injuries?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we both
Have. Ooh, we're a little clumsy, and then we start reading comics, and we just can't not wear any other shirt except for our Batman shirts.
That's kind of gross.
No,
Do you
I don't
wash
know.
them? I hope so. Okay, so moving right along, we've got you kicked the wall. That's how you got an injury. You though, let's hear the story of your injury, Laura.
So I was working on a costume, and I used a hot glue gun, and it was an animatronic hand that I was making.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes. And the piece that I was gonna put down, my hot glue gun is really, really hot. So I put all the hot glue on, and I'm like, alright, I'm gonna wait for it to cool down before I just stick it on my hand, and it fell on my leg.
That's worse.
Yeah. I know how to treat a second-degree burn now, though.
Well, that's, I guess, looking on the bright side. That's the silver lining of the whole event, I guess.
Yeah, but
Learning.
such a nerd.
Coming from you, man. You just sped run through the Arkham games,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's not being a nerd. That's being productive in my life. What? I'm what? No, seriously. Like, okay, so let's say Arkham Knight just came out. I want to play Arkham Knight really badly, but I haven't played the other games. So I'm trying to speed through all the games, and I played through Arkham Asylum in under 2 days. That's like a new record for me.
Congratulations.
Oh,
I'm sure your mother must be so proud.
She's not. She was like, Ayana, you just spent like $25 on video games? I'm like, yeah.
So, again, with the segue over here to the money thing, neither of you have, like, jobs.
No?
Really? Yeah. So, I got you guys to start reading comics because I want more people to talk to about comics.
And look what you've done.
We're broke, but we have a lot of comics, so...
And Batman shirts.
Fair trade.
I have one Batman shirt. I didn't have enough money to buy like 2 Batman shirts.
Because you spend all your money on Batman comics.
Yeah. My mom was like, "Hey, Ayana, your first adult decision can't be to spend all of your money on like comic books." That's what I did.
Spend all your money on comics.
Yeah,
It's a pretty solid decision.
I know.
I was at Barnes & Noble's. I think it's funny, it's worth mentioning that every single time that any version of our friend group goes to Barnes & Noble's, we immediately walk in the door, turn right, go down the hallway, turn right again, right to where the comic book section is, like comics/graphic novels, and that's the only part of the store we really ever go to.
And then we always go in and we're like, we're not going to buy a comic. And then we look at them, we're like, we're going to buy
Which one am I going to play this?
Oh god, like, okay, let's see, so I need Nightwing number 2. I was in there the other day and I was looking at,
Again?
Yeah. I guess again. So I was like, I do this where I like scan through and then I like pull out part way the ones that I think are interesting, so that when I'm done scanning, I can just like from the 20 or so that I've pulled out halfway, pick like 5 that I want to look at in more detail. So I was looking at I think Nightwing number 2, Shazam number 1, Batman Incorporated, and Batman Bruce Wayne Returns. I want to get Batman Incorporated, Batman Bruce Wayne Returns, because I read the first part of both of them, and I'm like, this is good and interesting. I want it now.
Yeah, because it's hard, because you started a comic, you're like, yeah, I'll just wait, you know? Like, you get, like, 2 comics, and like, okay, I'm going to read them, I'm going to take a few days to read them, so I don't, like, just rush through it, and I'm going to buy the next comic, like, in 2 weeks or a week when I have more money. so I can like eat this week. And you're just like, okay, so I finished this in a day. I guess I'll just go ahead and get the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And your mom asks you if you have a problem.
Which of course you do.
Yeah. But at least it's reading. There's a lot worse
Yeah,
problems that happen in the
I
world.
was telling someone here in the office that I felt bad for getting you guys in comics because it's such an expensive habit to keep up. And he just went, well, I guess it's better than drugs. I was like,
Yeah.
That's true. Clearly, the first comparison I would make too would be just drugs.
Yeah, because like comic books, I feel like they're like solid pieces of like literature,
They are.
Depending on which one you get.
That's
Yeah.
also very true. But I was talking to Daniel, my younger brother, who was on the first podcast. He made an interesting point that I'd never really considered, but I think is incredibly valid. Is that in high school American literature classes, they should teach you about comic books. Now, not like a whole section or even a month spent on it, but that'd be a really great immersive way to get kids more interested in literature, or even in middle school, like literature classes. Because saying like, all right, well this month we're gonna read Huckleberry Finn, you're gonna get a kind of grown from the class, but going, all right, so this week we're all going to read Batman #1 or Batman whatever. Just pick an important character and a big comic, like Killing Joke, very famous, or Watchmen, great comic.
famous.
Pick one of those, have them read it, and honestly, give them a week to read it. They're gonna finish it in 2 days. And then have an actual discussion about the morals that happened, why Batman is such a famous character. Like, he's probably one of the most well-known characters. We don't talk about him at all in school.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting.
And even if the teachers are like, I don't want to have superheroes in my classroom, that makes no sense. There are graphic novels that have history in them, like March is a series that was centered around the civil rights movement in America. And you could read that in school just as easily.
Yeah, especially for people that have like learning disabilities or learning impairments like dyslexia or just they don't like reading, because they're more immersive and more interesting. And like I don't have that great of imagination, so when I'm reading through a book I can't remember the characters because I can't picture the character. But if I watch the movie or the TV show first and then read the book, I can think of that character.
Yeah. My friend, she actually told me that she goes to like I think Florida University, but she was like, oh yeah, one of her required readings is a graphic novel. And I got really, really excited. And I was like, oh my gosh, what is it? She was like, no, it's not like comic books. It's like a pornographic novel that we have to read. I was like, how?
Oh, is it graphic like?
No. I think she meant it's like a graphic novel, but it also has like graphic content.
Oh, but I think instead of graphic as in like art, it means graphic like explicit.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Which is a strange way to phrase that, because graphic novel is well known for being like a comic book.
I was like, okay, that's disappointing. I'm so sorry for you.
But I mean, honestly, like if you went up to the average American on the street and said, hey, can you tell me the backstory of Holden Caulfield? Maybe. I'd like to think a lot of people would get that. A lot of people probably wouldn't. Maybe some people would. I think there'd be a good portion of people that would just be like, I think he's that guy from Catching the Rye, and he's kind of whiny. That's kind of the only thing I can tell you about it, though. Especially some of like the more classic literature, like, tell me about
Jake Gatsby.
Like Jake Gatsby, or even like further back with like, tell me about Jane Eyre.
What?
I don't know, that was not one of the required readings in high school, so I can't tell you. But say, can you tell me about Batman? It's like, yes I can.
Yeah, I'm just so excited.
Everyone knows a little bit about comic books, but everyone definitely knows a little bit about Batman.
Yeah, like, and even like, let's say Superman. Everyone knows Superman. Yeah, he's like really OP, but everyone's like, oh yeah, he was from that alien planet, and his parents died, and they put him in like a little rocket ship and sent him to Earth.
And he can fly and shoot lasers and spin around the Earth and take time back. Just like partial truth.
And he can sit in the sun and just become a god.
We don't talk about that Superman. Superman sucks.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, like, when I started getting into comics was when I started reading some of the Batman comics, like Killing Joke or Batman Hush, I was like, hey, I kind of know some of the stuff they're saying. Like, okay, I know that Batman has a Robin and the Catwoman is a thing and that, like, the Joker, and I know who the villains are. But then when I started reading, like, Flash comics, I was like, who are any of these people? Who are literally anyone? What? I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, and that's always interesting to get into a comic that you don't know what's going on. Because what I told them when they started reading comics is, if you're gonna get into one of the Bat family's comics, you kind of have to read all of them because they're just tied together.
Oh, man.
So it's really difficult to read Nightwing and not read Batman, Batman and Robin, Batgirl, and Catwoman all together because you just get, it's referencing outside things.
I'm currently waiting to hit the lottery before I dive into the Batman.
Are you done with the Justice League?
Yeah.
I was solid. I was
How would
Googling
you
it.
put that on the table? Yep, just thank you.
I'm sorry.
I was looking up the Justice League stuff because I heard of Trinity Wars, and I knew that it was combining 3 of the Justice Leagues to be in a war together. So I was like, okay, what do I have to read to understand this? It has like 4 different comics,
Yeah.
and all of them started at different years, so they're all in like different places. So like Trinity of Sin for Pandora, it's the first issue starts the Trinity Wars, but then like Justice League of America, it's like the 5th issue, and Justice League in general was like the 22nd issue. I'm like, I have to read.
Yeah, I started with the Justice League because like it gives you like little bits and pieces about each of the members of the Justice League instead of just being like this one storyline and it ties into like other stuff. So I can like start with the Justice League and then slowly branch off to like the other superheroes within it because I know all of like the general facts and how all of the different members of the Justice League started. So I just thought that was a really easy place like slip in.
And the thing with comic books that's very confusing, and it's a very difficult community to get into because it's so large. It's just like, I can never know everything about this, and that's a hard thing to just accept, is that there's so many different universes. So you can both be arguing about, like, Batman, 2 totally different versions of Batman, and you're both completely correct. It's like, Batman is Thomas Wayne, and Bruce and Martha died in Crime Alley. And then the other one says, well, it was Bruce Wayne and Thomas and Martha Wayne died in Crime Alley. And both of those people are totally correct, but they're different universes, and it's very confusing to get them all together.
Yeah. Let's talk about Marvel and how
We don't.
all right, how it's impossible to fully get into like Marvel comic book storyline because
We tried. I bought her Magneto #1 Marvel Now, and X-Men Days of Future Past for her birthday. So those were like her first comics in Marvel. Look, okay.
Spoiler, I guess we can say spoiler.
Kind of, I guess. But you know, if Marvel doesn't want this to be spoiled, then they shouldn't make it Magneto #1. So in Magneto #1, the stuff that you're assumed to have known for the first comic is that Charles Xavier is dead, and that Magneto has weakened powers, and that his island kingdom of Genosha is decimated. And you find out in the second one that it was taken over by the Red Skull and used as, again, like kind of a concentration camp. You're just expected to know this.
And then another like annoying thing was like, okay, I know that Charles Xavier dies at some point, but there's so many like different versions and there's so many different like comics that are like, oh yeah, Charles Xavier died. Oh, just kidding. He just left the X-Men to try and give them a training exercise to like show them a lesson that he won't always be there. But like, but and that happens like maybe 15 times, like repeatedly throughout different comic series for the X-Men, and I'm just like, I don't know which line they're taking with this.
It's incredibly convoluted. It's
Gosh.
so difficult to keep track of, and it's so hard to start. And Marvel specifically is like, I don't know where to start because there's no definite starting point.
Yeah. Like, not to say that the X-Men comic books are bad or anything, it's just...
I like the X-Men comic books are my favorite of the Marvel comic series. Deadpool's cool too because he's like comically aware, so he knows what's happening in the comics, so you can kind of jump in there and it breaks the fourth wall, so even just for the humor aspect it's kind of fun, but it's so unnecessarily confusing. And just so you know, here at NerdNest, we're not a heavy bias towards DC. I personally am, but our wonderful founder, Rain Giorgio, is a Marvel person.
Yeah.
We all have flaws, don't worry. No, but honestly, whenever I have this conversation with people like that, I find out, oh, you also read comics. I always like, so are you a Marvel or DC person? Or they'll ask me, and obviously I always go, well, I'm a DC person, and I usually get groans or, ugh, is it because of Batman? I'm like, look, man.
Yeah, like what?
Even if it's because of Batman, that's totally justified because Batman's fantastic. And if they say Marvel, I always like take a breath and go, okay, why? If they say they like the X-Men comics, I give them a pass. If they say they like the movies, they get a pass.
Their movies are fantastic.
Their movies
Their
are
movie
Their
universe
movie
is
universe is
cinematic
way
universe.
better than DC's. Considering DC's cinematic universe right now is just Man of Steel
Yeah.
and then like 20 more announced movies. That's fine. I don't hold any grudges against people who like Marvel more than DC because of the movies. That's totally fine.
And Marvel does a good job of tying the TV shows into the
Yeah.
movies also.
Yeah.
But their TV universe is a lot smaller than DC's. Like
It's
live
just-
action wise, they have a lot less TV shows, and cartoon wise, like you can't beat Bruce Timm. Speaking of Bruce Timm,
He's doing. Bruce
They're
Timm
doing
is
a
in
new
charge
thing.
of Justice League Gods and Monsters.
yeah,
Not sure the date that's coming out. Well, I think they've already released 3 short
they've
films.
released 3 short things, and it's Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman kind of reimagined in this darker universe. DC All Access just released a mini clip.
I have not seen that.
It's pretty cool, and I'm going to tell you why. But if you don't want to hear the spoilers for these characters, which is, I don't think it's really
Yeah,
necessary.
because they their whole thing is like, oh, these characters are this version, this
Yeah.
version, this version.
It's like you change one thing about the characters. So Superman is the son of General Zod. Batman is a vampire scientist. I'm taking these directly from DC, so I didn't come up with the term vampire scientist. Batman is a vampire scientist. And then Wonder Woman is the wife of the god Orion.
Orion.
And so you got, like, and the weird thing about it is, Bruce Timm is the animator of, like, all of your favorite childhood DC cartoons. Like, he's the one that did Batman the Animated Series. So it's the same artwork style, but it's not a children's show.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And they just kill people. It's
This
so
is really
weird because
good.
you're like, oh, this is just like the car. He just got stabbed in the chest. Superman lasered that guy's face. And it's like, kind of like, you have to make this weird alignment in your heart and soul and realize, like, this is the same animation that I'm so used to seeing, and all of the deaths are so well done in, like, the Batman animated series because they're for children, so it can't be on-screen death, so it is implied death or off-screen death, but you understand there's a concept of death in this universe.
Yeah.
In Justice League Gods and Monsters, they straight up, like, Wonder Woman's like, and stab. And see Trevor's like, oh god,
Please.
oh,
No.
Diana.
And their whole thing really was that yeah, we want to like get everyone's favorite superheroes, Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, and just make them darkest, like literally dark. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, that's a good route to take. I'm with this 100%.
And that's what DC does really well.
Yeah, because it's full of angst and
Yeah.
full of
DC,
angst.
that's why I like DC better. I think it has a more realistic universe, which I acknowledge is not what some people look for in comics. So if they like Marvel for that reason, then fine. But I don't think the argument for Marvel having more realistic universe is entirely valid. Because Marvel is a lot more advanced universe-wise than DC because of the amount of technology that they have in the Marvel universe. That's just kind of an explicit thing, that they have a more advanced technology, they're more futuristic in the Marvel universe. Whereas DC is more like our universe. They also treat their heroes more like we would if we just had like some spaceman come down to Earth
Yeah.
and say, hello, I'm Kal-El.
Like,
This
oh,
is my planet's symbol for hope.
like really hope starts with the S, stupid.
Hope starts with an H.
Does it really?
Laura, I think she might be from Krypton. I don't want to hope. Just keep an eye out. X-Files is about to do a reboot. Maybe there's something with Ben. I've not watched
Wait, what?
X-Files. I just know they hunt aliens, and you kind of gave off the
Oh.
impression that you're an alien just then, so. I was trying to make a joke, and I'm not funny. I'm sorry.
I know, because I just tried to make a joke. And it wasn't funny.
Speaking of bad segues, Ayana, you and I saw Mad Max yesterday.
Stop
The
this.
second time.
In theaters for the second time.
It's just such a good movie. I don't see why you wouldn't see it the second time.
The colors are so pretty.
Oh, gosh.
And Laura, you're a junior or rising junior?
Yeah.
She's a rising junior in high school. Ayana, you've just graduated. I'm going into my second year of college. So we're all babies in the grand scheme of things. But we were all in high school marching bands and high school bands together because we're losers. Which is also why we like comics. But anyway, it's a whole thing. So we're like kind of big music people, and I'm a huge soundtrack fan. And the soundtrack to Mad Max
Fantastic. It's
just makes me want to
fantastic.
like speed and shoot people and kill them and stab them in the heart with a chainsaw. It's so I'm not going to. I'm not going to. But if I could, I would be so happy.
Okay.
That's it's accurate. That's how I feel.
Yeah, but like they released well, I'm not sure if it was Mad Max who released like the special like edition vinyl, but they're doing a special edition like vinyl records for the movie, and the artwork is amazing and the soundtrack is amazing, and I'm really excited to get it because they did an interview of like how they make the score, and they're like, yeah, so what we wanted to do was get every single orchestral instrument plus some electronic instruments like
Just like a
yeah, and mesh it together and try to give off a sense of power. Yeah, and they were like, oh yeah, our main goal is make it just a really cool movie.
It was so well done.
Yeah.
And what I appreciate about it is it's one of those movies that you go into expecting constant action, and you're not disappointed. It's like a 2.5 hour car chase.
Yeah.
But they do so without sacrificing character quality and character integrity.
Yeah.
Because there's character growth, you understand and you learn about the characters throughout, you understand their motives better,
Yeah,
you get to know them.
we were talking yesterday after we left the movie, and Josh, who was on the last podcast, he was like, I wonder how much dialogue overall was in that movie. And I was like,
It's like
if you take out all of like the set directions and everything, I would say about 3 pages. But that may sound like an insult, but it just shows you that they were able to put in so much character growth and development and have really
in
good.
such few lines.
Yeah, and you could honestly feel for the characters. You like got attached to them.
Yeah, it was
And,
really well done. And for such like limited dialogue, it's very impactful.
Yeah, and you can see how characters change and how they develop and how they interact with each other, and it's like, wow, this is a good movie.
Well, on that note, we've got to end soon. So we're gonna go see Mad Max again
for the
third time. You're
Yes.
getting a lot of money from us then. We're sponsored by in my dreams we are maybe.
Oh,
But yeah, thank you for watching this third podcast. We'll be back again next week, and we'll see you later. Again, the links to our social media, our blog, and everything is in the description. So, bye guys, have a nice week.